Good evening, Western Standard viewers, and welcome to Hannaford, a weekly politics show. I'm Jen Hodgson, filling in for Nigel Hannaford this week. It's Thursday, February 13th, 2025, and my guest today is Anne-Claire Charette Freake, spiritual care provider on Parliament Hill, a Christian chaplain ministry for MPs from all parties and their staffers. But first, a word from our sponsors. This episode of The Hannaford Show is sponsored by New World Precious Metals, based right here in Alberta. Years of inflationary money printing and rising debt have decimated the average Canadian savings. Gold and silver are the only currencies that have held their value for thousands of years, and last year saw 30% gains. NWPM offers unique platforms to help protect and grow your hard-earned wealth with gold and silver. Check out newworldpm.com. Anne-Claire Charette Freake serves as spiritual care provider on Parliament Hill. She and her husband Grant serve in a Christian chaplain ministry called Leading Influence for MPs from all parties, including their staff. Anne-Claire, welcome to the show. Bienvenue.
Thank you, Jen. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about Leading Influence?
Absolutely. Well, it's a privilege. Thank you for the invitation.
My pleasure.
It's a privilege to serve MP from all over Canada. We are a national team of chaplains or spiritual care provider, and our organization is called Leading Influence, and we provide excellence in spiritual and emotional care to all Canadian politicians. We have chaplains in 5 provincial legislature in Canada, and my husband Grant and I, we are here posted in Ottawa serving MPs and their staff at Parliament Hill. So if I can continue, 3 points that are really important for our organization is that we are an organization that we've been around for 18 years already, almost next week, 18 years of serving. And important to understand that we are nonpartisan. That means that we are a ministry of presence, and we serve MPs and their staff from all different political allegiance. We are non-issue based because we're serving all those politicians from different political allegiance. And we are a Canadian charity, and we are registered, and by our choice, we're not seeking a government funding nor asking or receiving government funding. So we are a donor funded.
Awesome. And we can definitely relate to that at the Western Standard, because we also put a lot of emphasis on being independent and not donor funded. So I think that's really important for people who are looking into this ministry to know like where the funds are coming from.
Yeah, we have no political ties. So we really function out of donations of people who believe in that mission.
Beautiful. So, Anne-Claire, how do you engage with MPs and their staff as you are running this missionary literally right in the halls of Parliament Hill?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We are a ministry of presence, means that we are present in their workplace. So my husband and I will be present in Parliament Hill at question period. We go 4 to 5 times a week, and we attend question period, and then we go in the corridor and we engage through conversation with MPs and their staffer in the corridors, or through meetings, through people who are knowing us and then recommend us to other MPs. We're word of mouth. A lot of it happened through referrals, because it's a confidential ministry, of course. And yeah, we want to be, and we are this familiar face who's engaged in peace. And with time, it leads to conversation that become confidential and non-judgmental. And so this is an example that we do. Important to oh yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, you mentioned that this was a ministry of presence, and
Yeah.
that you spend time with your husband Grant just being in the halls of Parliament Hill, so that MPs are becoming familiar with your face and becoming more comfortable coming to speak with you. And a lot of that was word of mouth, you said, right? So MPs are actually telling each other about their experience receiving spiritual guidance from yourself and your husband.
Yeah, yeah, it's really we're not advertising, we're just making ourselves available, and just meeting. Sometimes we will go to different events and we'll meet them there and then connect with them on by email. And because we had already a human touch, a conversation, they invite us in their offices, and that's where we provide the care, emotional care. We're there for them, we listen to them. We offer them a place where they can have a respite or a moment of peace, so they can be refreshed and go on in their day after.
Yes, and well, so many of general Canadians will maybe think of their politicians as, someone that they can be constantly critical of, and really examining their behavior, and rightly so. They are representative of Canadians, but
Mhm.
often, people, we can sometimes forget that they are people too, and that they have the same needs as us, and that they are capable of mistakes, and
Mhm.
therefore for repentance of mistakes too, though, like there's coming back from that mistake. There is avenues for them uh, to look at what they've been doing as representing Canadians,
Mhm.
and maybe get that humility too through this spiritual guidance. Do you ever see that?
Yeah, well, it's a stressful environment. They're constantly under pressure, and no matter what decision they will make, someone is going to be there to be upset. They would go this way. Some people are upset, and they go the other way. They get they get critics from other ways. So it's an important environment, but it's a very, very high pressure level environment. And so we have to remember, just like you said, Jen, sorry, uh, that uh, politician leaders are people too. And we need to remember that they have spouses, they have families, and life happened to them too, just
Mhm,
like us. And so they will have good days, they will have bad days.
mhm.
But because we are present most days on Parliament Hill in their workplace, we are there. If they have a difficulty or a personal crisis, or just day is not going very well, well, we are available to be a listening ear, encouraging presence. And when those moments happen, we can interact with them there on the spot and be a present help.
That is really encouraging to hear that the elected officials that represent us in Parliament do have that spiritual support, and that they're talking about it, and that they're making good use about it. So, can you share with us any anecdotes of your work with MPs? I understand that it's highly confidential, but can you maybe illustrate for our viewers what that might look like?
Absolutely. Like you say, it is highly confidential. So I can give you an example that happened just before Christmas, though. Um, we are in question period. We are in the gallery, and one MP who knows us knows that we are up there. And at the end of the question period, we received a text this MP was asking to meet us. And so we went, because we were there on spot, we were available for them, and we were able to go and meet them. And they had just received a really sad news, and they were pretty shaken by that news, and they needed a place where they can just unpack and talk about it. And they knew that we were there for them. And so we spent that time with them, just listening and then bringing some comfort. And after that, that MP was taking that moment of respite. It was that they were refreshed and they were ready to go on their day. And this is an example that we have, on a weekly basis. Often this kind of example happens over and over, and that's what we are here for.
Wow, that's so wonderful to hear that there is that support for MPs, like when they're going through something really difficult, that they're not alone, that they can come to this non-political ministry. And it's really important too that you emphasize that it doesn't matter if you're representing blue, red, green, or orange in Parliament Hill. What matters is that you're a person too, and you have this high responsibility, and that everyone is worthy of this kind of support. And so even that yourself and Grant have that presence on Parliament Hill and are demonstrating that, I think that your work is incredibly meaningful. And you're welcome. And as I mentioned, even here at the Western Standard, we're rather critical of those in power. Yet you remind us that our politicians are just like anyone else, as we discussed earlier, with real human needs and issues and the trials of life.
Right.
So what is your message of hope?
Well, we work in a behind the scene, and so it's important to know that well-supported leaders make better governance. Right?
Yeah.
If they're well supported, and they're well supported emotionally, and for some of them as well spiritually, they will govern much more efficiently. And so that's why we maintain regular ongoing contact with MP of all political allegiance. These men and women, as you mentioned earlier, Jen, they choose to serve the nation, but they make significant sacrifice as doing so. They serve in Parliament, yes, but they travel weekly away from their spouse, away from their family, working long hours, up to 70 hours, sometimes more, on the week and then on weekends. And the price they pay is surreal. And so we were behind the scene to provide much needed support through confidential, non-judgmental, one-on-one meetings. And we are here to listen and pray and encourage them on their journey as they serve. So
that does really provide hope, I think, to all Canadians, not just the politicians, because I loved what you said, that supported leaders make for better governance. And don't we really need that in Canada, right? And so for Canadians to know that parliamentary leaders are getting that support, and that it's a non-judgmental place where they can go and they can share their heart, they can talk about the personal stuff, so they can get back to focusing on these, you described 70-hour work weeks, and being away from their families for long stints of time while they're out in Ottawa on Parliament Hill. Of course, not right now since they're in prorogation. But I think that that's a message that a lot of Canadians would want to hear. Now, speaking of prorogation, since Parliament isn't in session and MPs aren't on Parliament Hill, are you able to continue your ministry?
Well, we all have heard of conference call, right?
Yes, in fact,
Video conference call. So yes, we stay in touch with those contacts that we have on Parliament Hill. We stay in touch with staffers. We stay in touch with MPs where we're able to either have a phone call or just have a video conference moment. So yes, we continue to meet with them and bring as much support as we can, considering the situation where we are here now. And so our heart is to really make Canadian aware of these people being people first. And as we serve them and make sure that in their as they exercise, as they sacrifice, as they serve, there is a people that are there for the person. We're not there to bring activism or lobbyism. We're not there to ask them anything. Leading Influence is a team that come and offer them support. And that's important for the kind of work that they do.
Absolutely. And so about Leading Influence, so you mentioned that you've been in Ottawa and Parliament Hill for about 6 months. And
Yeah.
before that, you were at the Quebec legislature. And you also mentioned Leading Influence operates out of several provinces. Can you give our viewers a little bit more details on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Leading Influence right now have served MPs throughout almost 18 years now. And we've been hosting breakfast since 2018, breakfast for politicians. And yeah, we serve in 5 provinces, but we've hosted around 100 members in 4 different prayer breakfasts yearly since 2008. When members are in session, our team serves in 5 provinces and on Parliament Hill. And we serve about generally connecting with 25 to 30 member daily. So that's something.
Is incredible. So across Canada, including the provincial governments and the federal government, your team is serving that many people.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
still expanding.
Still extending, yes. Well, speaking of prayer breakfasts, our very own Nigel Hannaford, whose seat I am currently occupying, he was actually the keynote speaker at Calgary's prayer breakfast in 2023.
Wonderful.
Yes, so we were all very proud of him for his keynote speech.
Yeah, we provide as well. We believe in prayer. And so we have prayer network attached to each province. We have Pray Canada. And if we compile all the prayers that we've prayed, we post on our prayer networks we've posted about 12,000 different personalized prayer blessing for each MP or MPPs throughout Canada. That's a lot. And we post them on their website and on our Facebook page. And so prayer is a force to be reckoned for.
Kidding. So how does this prayer network work? You select an MP or an MPP or an MLA to pray for in particular, or they ask you for that kind of prayer?
It's a good question. We have prayer organizers in each province, and they just separate every day all the MPs on a year schedule, and all the MPs over a period of year will have a prayer prayed individually, personalized, and it's a prayer non-issue, non-partisan. We're just blessing them. So there's writers that are functioning under those prayer coordinator, that's the right term, prayer coordinator in each province. And so we can go on the Leading Influence website, and you'll see the prayer network there.
Amazing. So actually, I was going to mention your website in case people want to donate, but I guess also in case people want to volunteer to contribute to the prayer ministry. People want to pray for our elected officials in this organized way, they can also go to your website to check that out.
Yeah. So the ministry was founded by Tim Schindel in 2006, It's been 18 years. He was in British Columbia. And for the last 3 years, he's come to Ottawa for part-time once a month. And since September now, we are here walking in his streets. Grant and I were working here full-time on Parliament Hill. And yeah, so we're happy. We've done that in Quebec for 3 years, part-time. And now we're doing full-time and we're fully bilingual.
That's incredible. And the first full-time chaplains or spiritual leaders that are functioning on Parliament Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
That we are solely dedicated to provide a spiritual and emotional care to our MPs and their staff. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I hope that this video even more so helps to raise awareness so that MPs that maybe haven't seen you around Parliament Hill as much or aren't really familiar what you and Grant do, perhaps they might come knock on your door and introduce themselves. Who knows?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we're here for all of them.
Now, by the way, you mentioned 5 provinces. What provinces does Leading Influence operate out of?
We have BC, we have Ontario, Saskatchewan, Quebec, PEI, and then we are on Ontario, in Ottawa. Yeah. So did I say 5? Yeah.
Yep, that's 5. Excellent. Okay, so maybe we can hope for Alberta here.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That we need more chaplains. There's some provinces that we need chaplains in. Yes, absolutely. So if ever someone here and is interested in providing care, we can contact Tim Schindel in our organization at Leading Influence.
Beautiful. And I'm sure Premier Smith would be amicable to that idea as well.
Sure, sure.
Okay, Anne-Claire. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to let our viewers know if you would like to know more about this, or if you would like to donate to Leading Influence, you can go to the website and it's just leadinginfluence.com. If you want to donate, you just go to the About tab or leadinginfluence.com/meet Grant and Anne-Claire. And as you can see, we have the QR code up on the screen, so you can just scan that as well. Anne-Claire, thank you so much for joining us today and for your uplifting message, and all the best to you and Grant as you continue on this endeavor of providing spiritual care for our leaders on Parliament Hill. Such an important job. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you.